Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone tuning in. Supatease here with another PvP guide and my first impressions for Balanced Druid in patch 8.1. So I'm going to be going over some of the changes that happened to the specs, some of the Azure traits that you might be interested in trying, as well as going through my thoughts in this match against a Death Knight Survival Hunter Holy Paladin. I believe that these Unholy Death Knights are not going anywhere anytime soon, and paired with the Survival Hunter, which is also a powerful specialization, and a Holy Paladin is quite a formidable composition. On my side of the fight, I am playing with an Unholy Death Knight myself and a Restoration Shaman, and with the way that this match plays out, I usually avoid being attacked and hug it out in bear form as much as possible when my healer is in crowd control. But as you can see, my talents haven't changed too much. I would say that you do want one of the new Azurite traits, so that every 9 star surges you will activate Incarnation for 6 seconds, and then your 2 other Azurite traits should be a battlefield focus. I found that those were the most effective traits overall. You bring a little bit of extra surprise with that 6-second Incarn and the battlefield focus for your sustained damage throughout the fight. And that build is going to be the best. Moonkenora received some nerfs, and you have to play around it now. Instead of just start surging once and gain 15% crit, you have to start surge 3 times to get it up to 12% crit. So you want to make sure that your star surges are timing around maxing out that crit buff as much as possible. At the start of the game, you want to get your damage over time effects on every target. As soon as your healer's in crowd control, such as this blue icon of Freezing Trap, you want to go in bear form right away, start generating rage so that you can use the ability Iron Fur. You want to make sure you're getting Moonfires up on every target and then looking to thrash as you can, but your main objective is to get Iron Fur up. As you can see me activate it there. That reduces a lot of the physical damage. You want to make sure that you're using that as soon as you can and as much as possible as your healer sits through the initial crowd control chain. And then I'm just waiting for their burst damage cooldowns to fade, and as the damage subsides, as the crowd control of my Shaman begins to run out, then I will consider using Incarnation, and I'm going to tell my Death Knight that so we can coordinate some stun locks. But I still see my Shaman in crowd control. Our positioning is a bit poor here. My Shaman and I should be further apart from each other. They are too easily crowd controlling, both of us, but he opts to Trinket and use Earthen Wall. Now that I have that defense, it's time to attack. I'm going to pop Incarnation and pop 2 quick star surges to get my crit ramped up from Moonkenora as quickly as possible. Get dots on the Paladin, as my Death Knight's main goal here is to attack the healer and keep Chains of Ice onto the melee DPS. And then I want to support my damage on the Paladin when I can, but I do not want to overextend. My goal is basically to 2 versus 2 the Death Knight and Hunter with the Shaman and myself, so I want to pull them far away. This will then make it difficult for the Paladin. He needs to heal himself through a Death Knight and also cross the map to heal his partners through me. And when he crosses the map, I can dot him up and start attacking him, and it becomes much difficult for the Paladin to deal with, and they can become overwhelmed. Obviously, their strategy in between is to just trap my healer and burst me down. I saved Bash defensively here for my Shaman, so when he got into that blue icon, that Freezing Trap, I used Bash on the target that had no Trinket, which in this case was the Hunter. You would not want to bash the Death Knight in this scenario, as he would Trinket and then immediately kill you. Still, as a result, my Shaman has to use Spirit Link Totem. Damage is a lot higher in this patch. It feels like a completely different expansion. Same time, the Death Knight forced Divine Shield from their Paladin, so both sides are burning low on cooldowns. I'm a bit worried about the next Freezing Trap, as I do not have Barkskin. I see a stun incoming onto the Shaman. Innervating here was a bit of a mistake. I was trying to preemptively innervate. He does benefit from a couple of casts, but you definitely don't want to innervate your healer when they're crowd controlled. Harpoon immediately tells me that the Hunter is switching over for a Freezing Trap. Fortunately for me, his pet went down in the meantime, so he had to waste a lot of time resurrecting that, but still going to that Iron Fur. Iron Fur is the only reason that I'm still alive in this position, just long enough for my Shaman to get an Earthen Wall Totem, and I'm still hanging out while my Shaman sits crowd control. Again, positioning of my Shaman could be better, positioned further away from me so that the interrupts and Freezing Traps aren't hitting him as frequently, but I'm still barely surviving, and it's all because of that Iron Fur. You want to make sure you're using it. And then I haven't really been talking about Frenzy Regeneration as well. You want to be using that to try and recover through it, and I used it here even though my healer wasn't crowd controlled because of Soul Reaper, which is a blue icon on myself, a powerful and Holy Death Knight offensive cooldown. My Shaman gets a nice Earth Grab totem here, and I'm focused on kiting. As standing still has not been really working out for me too much, I now have opted to try and move away, and with Chains of Ice from my Death Knight here, you can see our strategy implemented a lot better. I can use dash and kite while my healer is crowd controlled. I was sort of feeling the expansion out. How much damage can I take in bear? How much can I not? And in most cases, you can't tank in bear form for that long. So I'll just run away, heal myself with a couple regrowths, and my Death Knight can keep Chains of Ice on both the Hunter and the Death Knight, and still then look to build up pressure on the Paladin. We're really looking to stall. Moonkin doesn't do very much damage outside of Incarnation at all, so you just want to sit in bear form, especially against these cleaves. And I'm waiting for Incarnation, which is another 56 seconds, 58 seconds. So I'm maintaining Iron Fur, I'm keeping up dots as much as I can, and when I have the defense of the Earthen Wall, I do pop out of bear. So right here I have Earthen Wall. So I come out of form, and I'm looking to pop those 2 Star Surges. I'm also keeping track of my Azurite trait, so I see myself at 8 Star Surges, and that's about time to activate a mini Incarn. And if I line this up correctly with a full Astral Bar, I can potentially force a cooldown right before my major Incarn, and that's the main goal of this Azurite trait. So I'm hanging out at 8 stacks. You can see that at the top right of the screen, the purple icon with the number 8. As soon as it hits 9, I'm going to activate Incarnation, and it activates by Star Surging. So I really want to get an AMS, or I really want to get to an aspect of the turtle with this, so I'm kiting them into a worse position. I've got enough Astral Power set up to do this, so I get my Incarn activated, and I dump the second Star Surge, and I'm really looking to force Anti-Magic Shield. But Death Knights have been buffed on their Death Strike, and typically aren't a target unless you have a Mortal Strike or a Disarm. Death Strike is very potent. It was reduced in cost and increased in effectiveness. Luckily for me, the pressure I'm creating on the Death Knight is forcing a Paladin in a difficult situation. He can't handle the Death Knight on his own anymore, and actually has to use Hammer of Justice defensively, which my Death Knight chooses to break out of and keep up the pressure. Here I've got Incarnation about ready and available, so I'm getting ready to pump that. I pop it right away. Unfortunately, they use Anti-Magic Zone, and I probably should have held this. It still gets the added bonus of this Intellect trinket that I'm running from the boss Mithrax, and you can see how much extra damage that added onto Star Surge. Star Surge is basically all of your relevant damage. You do not want to be casting Solar Wrath when you're trained down like this. You want to use the instant Lunar Strikes when you can, but otherwise you're looking to stay in bear form. I want to stay as aggressive as possible during this time, and my Shaman has used Earthen Wall Totem so that I can. During this Incarnation, you really need to pump out as much damage as possible and generate as many Star Surges as you can, so using a defensive cooldown so that you can stay aggressive is important here. Now that my healer is in a freezing trap, I then use Bark Skin. I really feel like we've got enough pressure to end the game on multiple targets, so I'm staying out of bear form in this position. I've stacked up to 7 stacks, getting close to 9 for another mini Incarnation window, and that mini Incarnation window is going to be one that I try and win the game off of. So I'm still buying time, generating Astral Power. I've hit that 8, so now I want to save up so that I can do 2 Star Surges, 1 to activate the Incarn and 1 during it. And you can see this time now I'm actually targeting the Hunter, and as a result I got Aspect of the Turtle, but my Death Knight killed the Paladin. So with this split DPS strategy, the Paladin couldn't heal his melee as well as deal with the Death Knight on himself, and if he came to heal his melee then I would attack the Paladin. Otherwise I'm rotating Barkskin and Earthen Wall Totem. Don't overlap those, and in Wind Desperation when you're about to go down, that's when you need to use Renewal, that's when you need to use the Spirit Link Totem. If you don't overlap these cooldowns and you use your kiting effectively and look for those Incarn burst windows, you're going to be having a good time. Moonkin is very powerful in this patch. It does a lot of damage with the extra Azurite trait to activate Incarn on 9 Star Surges. Gives you a couple more kill windows, and compositions that I would suggest are the Death Knight and Balanced Druid, the Elemental Shaman and Balanced Druid as kind of the top contenders for it. I hope you enjoyed this video. These are my first impressions for Balanced Druid. Please consider subscribing and hitting the notification bell so you can see when my next video goes live, as I upload guides every single day, and I stream on twitch.tv/Supatease if you're interested in checking that out. We do some fun times, some rapping while playing, some live commentary as well, and follow me on Twitter @Supatease if you would be so kind. I will see you guys in the next video. Thank you very much for tuning in.